Hello, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Anjana Satyabodha. I am a speech language therapist and founder of Subodha. So at Subodha, we cater to children, neurodivergent children, who have little or no clear speech. So we work with children, mostly autistic, ADHD, and other neurodivergent children. And our vision is to make communication accessible to all individuals. So our specialty is augmentative and alternative communication and using assistive technology. And we blend therapy, human-centered therapy, child-centric therapy with assistive technology. So I'm very happy to welcome our speaker for today, Hima Nair. Ms. Hima Nair is a dedicated speech language therapist with 6 years of experience, specializing in alternative and augmentative communication and Gestalt language processing. She is a consultant teletherapist at Subodha. She also works with other organizations in Bangalore. She provides neurodiversity affirming speech language therapy, working with children and families across schools, clinics, and hospitals. She is passionate about parental guidance and creating inclusive communication strategies for diverse learners. Hima holds a master's in speech language pathology from the All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysore, and has furthered her expertise with a PCP in HR management and analytics from IIM Kozhikode. Hima, welcome, and welcome to the webinar. And over to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I see a lot of parents here today and also some SLPs. Today, we are going to talk about Gestalt language processing. And before we start, I just want to know what would be your level of expertise or knowledge in this topic. Um, could you tell me, do you feel you're an expert, you know the basics, or you're pretty familiar with the topic, or you know nothing? You can write that in the chat box. I see a lot of answers. No basics, familiar, no nothing, learning, pretty familiar, no nothing. Okay. Okay, great. I want to do a pre-test before we go. Ma'am, could we do the test now?
Yes, you can ask the questions and they can type it in the chat box.
Yeah, okay. So the first question is, what do you understand by the term Gestalt language processing? You can write the answers in the chat box. Is it a way of processing language through single words? It's learning language in chunks or scripts before breaking it down into smaller parts, a method of teaching phonics, or a type of sign language. B. Yeah, almost everyone is right over here. The next one, which of the following best describes a Gestalt language processor? Is it somebody who learns language by memorizing dictionary definitions, someone who learns language in a whole process phrase before breaking them down, someone who understands grammar first before learning vocabulary, and a child who has difficulty understanding spoken language. What would be the one that would best describe a GLP? P, B, okay, B and D, B, D, okay. Most of you have answered someone who learns language in whole phrases before breaking them down. That is the right answer. And few have also answered a child who has difficulty understanding spoken language. We will get to this part in further slides. Okay. The next one, at what stage do Gestalt language processors typically start creating novel, flexible sentences? Immediately after exposure to language, at first stage of language development, after breaking down memorized scripts into meaningful words, D, they never reach the stage. C, 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 B, okay, C. Most of you have answered C as the answer, and some have also answered B. The right answer is C. We will get to this further. Okay. Who can be a Gestalt language processor? Only autistic children, only children with speech delays, any individual, including neurotypical, neurodivergent individual. D, only adults learning a new language. Okay. A lot of you have answered that individuals, including neurotypicals and neurodivergent individuals, yes. Some have answered only autistic children. So this is something that we see across all children, neurotypical or neurodivergent children. It's not specific to autistic children. A lot of times, neurotypical children do really well in situations is that they never come as Gestalt language processors. That's what happens. Um, what is the primary difference between analytical language processors or a typical language learner or a Gestalt language processor? Analytical processors learn in single words, while Gestalt processors learn in whole phrases. Analytical processors memorize scripts, while Gestalt processors use grammar rules. Analytical processors struggle with communication, while Gestalt processors do not. There is no difference. Most of you have answered the right answer. Great. Excellent. Yeah. So we will start the presentation. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. The objective of this presentation is understanding what Gestalt language processing is and to understand what are the practical supports or strategies that you could give to further develop the language. Okay. So before going ahead, I would like to introduce you two keywords that would be necessary for you to understand this. One is echolalia, the other one is scripting. So echolalia is something that we commonly see in our neurodivergent children. They tend to repeat phrases or sentences that they have heard. Either they would repeat it immediately or after a delay. For example, immediate echolalia would be something if you ask, like, do you want juice? The child would repeat, do you want juice again, back at you instead of saying, yes, I want juice. Okay. Delayed echolalia would be repeated phrases that they have heard from TV shows or books or, conversations, and they would pick that up and use it in a totally different context. So nowadays, one of the common delayed echolalia that I have been seeing is like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. A lot of kids do that these days, and not just that, I've seen them using this particular phrase when they are ending an activity or when they are done or finished with an activity. Okay. And scripting would be a child who would repeat a line from a movie or conversation or a book. Okay, so scripts are basically a chunk of sentences that children are using repeatedly in different contexts. Okay, an example of a script is like a song, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And we also see a lot of kids completing these chunks. For example, Mm, if I'm saying twinkle, twinkle, you would or any child would tend to complete it by saying little star. Okay, so that's called scripting. So children tend to complete the scripts because the script is a whole object for them and it's not different words. Okay, even though the sentence twinkle, twinkle, little star consists of 4 words for us, for children, it's a whole chunk and it's a whole unit, and they need to learn to break it down. So then talking about the history of GLP and echolalia, I would say that back in 80s, it was believed that echolalia was a deviant behavior that a lot of autistic children or a lot of neurodivergent children would exhibit. They also considered it as a self-stimulatory behavior. So approaches like Lova's approach would suggest to stop it, or they would suggest to replace it by saying, I don't know. Okay. And it was again in 90s, 80s, and 90s, researchers Rydell and Prisant who concluded that echolalia is not meaningless, it is used to communicate. So what they did was they collected hundreds of samples of delayed echolalia and they were able to categorize into 14 varieties. And out of which they were able to see that 7 of them showed evidence of having interactiveness and comprehension. So the 7 varieties also serve different functions. It could be like commenting. Commenting would be, oh wow, that's a tree. Requesting is like, I want water. Describing is like, that's a red car. Labeling is naming things. Then directing, can you please go there? And or providing information. I would like more. I am hungry. So different functions, 7 different functions they were able to understand by their research. And this slowly started coming up, and they were able to understand that children don't just process language in a singular way, but in multiple ways. So one was the analytical language processing, and the other was the Gestalt language processing. So, what analytical language processing is something that you, me, everybody knows. A child would first pick up a single word, they would learn to add another word to it, then it would become a phrase, then it would become a sentence going on. They would be able to describe further on or go ahead with it. Okay. And when it comes to Gestalt language processing, it's more of a top-down approach. What I mean here is they would pick up a whole chunk. It would be a chunk of a song like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They would learn to mitigate it, that is, slightly modify it. It would be like Twinkle, Twinkle, Mama Star. And then they will reach a stage where they are able to understand what each word means. It's also called the referential stage, the stage 3. So twinkle means something, little means something, star means something. Earlier, it was a whole chunk. They learned to break it down, and After reaching the referential stage, you see them going ahead talking in sentences, increasing their language to simple grammar, complex grammar, and advanced grammar. Okay, so these were the two language processing styles. So here, even though I'm talking about Gestalt language processing, it's not something that is pathologic. It is something that is naturally happening with a lot of kids. So naturally, children acquire language this way. Yeah. So the next slide would be an example of how child learns in chunks. Here in the first picture, you see a child has fallen down, and his response was from the song, "We all fall down." But that would be the response of a Gestalt language processor. I'm not generalizing it with everybody, but that's possibly how they would describe it. And the analytical language processor would just say that fall down. Okay. So the whole experience of falling down must be taken from a chunk that could be from a movie, chunk from a story, a book, and they would use it again and again. Okay, so this is the major thing you have to understand. They pick up language in the form of a chunk, a whole unit. So here we all fall down is a single unit and not four different words for them. Even though it's four different words for us, it's a whole thing that serves the purpose of them able to express that they are falling down. Okay, the next is the features of Gestalt. Yeah. So, what a Gestalt is, chunk where children use delayed echolalia to communicate. Okay, so Gestalt language processor is a person who picks up language via a larger emotional meaning. So it could be something the child would be picking up language with something the child has connected to emotionally. It could be a positive experience or it could be a negative experience. And you can also see that when they talk, they would have rich intonation when they talk. It would be very musical, very melodic. Hmm. They also tend to use long phrases instead of single words. We also have GLPs who use single words, but they use single words because they have been taught to use single words, okay, prompted to use single words. And a lot of times we cannot take it literally, what they say. We kind of have to understand where they picked up the context or the chunk or the phrase from and help them to use it accordingly. So, Gestalt could be let's get out of here, or another Gestalt would be want some more. Okay, so I will just share a video next of a child. I have hidden the video because I didn't want to show the face of the child. Here, the child is playing with a doll and she is explaining. She is talking to the doll, and the sentences that she speaks here is what she has heard her mom say to her, and it's a whole chunk. So, let's just go watch the video. Okay. Any comments on this video, or would you like me to, play it again? Okay, I'll just play it again. Try to listen to the audio. Here, just understand the child is playing with a doll. Child is putting the doll to the bed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just go to the next slide. So to conclude what Gestalt language processing is, where a child communicates or understands language through a whole phrase or a script. Certain scripts could be like to infinity and beyond. This is an intergalactic emergency. I have set my laser to shoot to kill. So these phrases could be from shows. I see a lot of kids these days picking up phrases from Bluey, Peppa Pig, a lot of YouTubers like Blippi, and they would use those when they're playing with objects. Um, so this is what Gestalt language processing is. A whole chunk is picked up through a larger emotional connection, and children learn to break it down eventually as they develop in their language. Okay, so we how do we determine if our child or the child that we are working with as an SLP is a GLP? Okay, so we could see some of the children would repeat sections of songs or videos that they have heard on YouTube, or they have heard parents talk, or from a communication attempt that must have happened long ago. They would hum songs. They would be repeating a lot of intonations that are used in the song. Sometimes what they're repeating would not be intelligible. They might come out as jargon. We can also see when we do the analytical language way of teaching with them, they would mostly get stuck in single words. They might learn to join sentences, but after a while, they're not able to get to the complex grammar or advanced grammar. And we also feel that the language in these children are very much prompt dependent. What I mean by prompt dependency is ki they will not spontaneously come and talk to you. They would always tend to, wait for you to initiate the communication by either asking a question or either by, starting the sentence or starting the first word of the sentence. They would always expect you to do that. So when we start the analytical language of teaching language, this getting stuck after a particular stage is very obvious in a lot of children. And we see even in their play schemes, they would prefer something as a whole. So it could be puzzles that you see or playing from A to Z. And when they play from A to Z, you feel that A to Z is a whole item for them. And when a certain alphabet or when a certain puzzle piece goes missing, it would kind of make them upset if a set is missing because the set is not whole for them that time. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll just share another video.
Mommy, you bounce into bed. In the bed. Can you get to bed? In the bed. Can you get to bed? Bed. Sleep, 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 bed.
Yeah, here you can hear the child holding a small toy and saying the words, do you want to get to bed? Time to bed, go on the bed, sleep on the bed. So these all are the phrases that the child has picked up from the parent when they put her to sleep, and they see her using the same phrases again. Okay, so this is like something that you would see they would speak sentences first, or or a whole rhyme at first. They would not be starting from single words. Okay. And one other thing is I have spoken about kids who are speaking as GLPs, but how would you identify if a non-speaking child is a GLP? So you can see children who are non-speaking, they might be able to sing songs. And some children, you can see that they might be able to hum the songs really well, but they don't have the words for it. Okay. The minimal amount of speech seems like jargon. Their humming and things or actions that they say, they would have rich intonations. And a lot of times you would see these children watching a certain clip or a video over and over and over, um, to, like to see that as a whole. And they also prefer things in a whole rather than as parts.
Let's do C.
So, does anybody have any questions right now regarding this? So, before moving on to the next video.
Hi, Hima. I have a question.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, in the first slide where you showed echolalia and script, the question is that echolalia, does it help in development, speech development? As in, I can see my son stuck in echolalia. Like some words are there, but some
Hmm.
mostly it is all echolalia, not
Hmm.
that
Hmm. Hmm.
thing. So, how does echolalia becomes a meaningful speech?
Okay. What do you see a lot of immediate echolalia, like your child is repeating this immediately or picking up
Immediate.
words as immediate? Okay. So a lot of times immediate echolalia is also really good because that helps that the child is trying to process what is happening that time and trying to develop the motor plan to speak. Motor plan is how the mouth is moving and things. So echolalia does really help in speech development as you suspect. But what I would suggest is if your child is having immediate echolalia, acknowledge it and model one more utterance to him so that he is able to pick up that part as well.
Okay, okay. Thank
Okay?
you. And one more question I have. For
Yeah.
example, when we travel for therapies, etc., I keep telling we are sitting in a so mostly we go in auto. So he says
Hmm.
auto. Now,
Hmm.
when I'm traveling in car, I ask the
Hmm.
question. We are sitting in a he says auto. Then I try
Hmm.
to give these differences. See, car has
Hmm.
this window, this door, etc.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
somehow, is it that auto is stored in his mind that he doesn't get the car concept, or is that
Yeah.
something?
Okay, so I was explaining to you the concept about scripting, right? How children would pick up a script. So here it seems like he has picked up a script called I am sitting in a auto. That is the script he's picked up. And for him, what he's doing is he is waiting for it to start and he knows that he should complete it. So the completion of the sentence ends with auto. So he's just automatically completing the whole script. So that is what is happening. So possibly I would suggest not to prompt the sentences to him. You would just model, we are going in a auto, we are going in a car, let's go in auto. And always not use the same sentences, slightly modify them so that
Okay,
some
okay.
variety is there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I see Barnali has asked, can GLP be taught or changed to analytical language? So one thing that I would tell you is when kids are in the stage 1, 2, 3, by stage 3, they would reach a referential stage. Referential stage is equal to the pointing stage that you see in ALPs. After that, they start to develop complex grammar. So after 3, you can see them slightly behave more as ALPs. So I won't say they change to analytical language processors, but they would behave more like an analytical language processor. Fine. Okay, I'll go ahead. So I'll just show a small clip from a session on how you can model language. Um,
Let's do C. Now let's do D. Oopsie. Let's do. It fell down. Make it one more time. Let's do one more time. Okay. A. B finger. Where's B? B, B, B. Oh, it's here. B. Two. Yeah, two. C. C for cat. Let's do D. D. Yeah, that's D. Here. E. Let's do E. E goes up. E goes up. Let's do F. Let's do F. Wait.
Yeah. So in the video, you can see that when I'm working with this child who's a Gestalt language processor, I am not asking the child to repeat after me. I am just modeling what I would expect him to say at that moment, what I would want him to say, and just waiting for him to, respond to it. So I'm acknowledging, I'm modeling, I'm using rich intonation so that I'm having this child's attention. And it's a play-based modeling that I'm doing. So this is something that you can do. Also, when you're playing with your child, if you are saying like, let's do, and then wait for the child to say be, what happens is you're prompting the child. And when you do a lot of prompting, what happens is child always expects you to start the chunk or start the sentence, and the spontaneity would not be there that you would want in a child. Okay. I'll show another video.
Let
Sorry. This video was of a child who's in stage 1. I'll show another video of a child who's in stage 2 and 4. Uh,
get purple. Grape. Grape flavor. Let me add the grape flavor. This one, a green one. The green one? Oh, that's mint. It's mm,
It's a mint flavor.
what? Eat.
I want it.
Can I add rainbow? Yes. Let me add the rainbow. This one, you eat it. I'm ready to eat it. First, eat the strawberry. And money. Yeah, collect the money now.
The meat.
It's a
yeah. So here how I'm working is when the child is saying something, I'm acknowledging it by repeating it back and modeling the sentence. I'm using activities that are child interest. So this child loves games that are based on food. So I'm using those kind of activities. It's a choice-based activity, play-based activity, and you can also include a lot of movement-based activities. So I've seen a lot of times kids tend to be very lethargic when we are making them seated in a chair and do the activity. So you can take them up to a slide if you have it in your clinic, or a monkey bar or a swing, make them sit there and do an activity. That movement would help them regulate better. And it's a strength based activities because he loves flavors, he loves ice creams and things. And you can also include some AC integration if your child is minimally speaking or non-speaking. Okay. Any questions right now? For GLP language processors, Harini Sriram is asking about yes or no questions. So teaching yes or no questions is quite complicated because it would have a question. It starts with a question, and question is considered as a prompt for GLPs. And whenever you work for yes or no, you would see children would just repeat yes or no, or either the last answer like no or the first answer yes. It takes time for them to answer to questions. So I would suggest if you want to work on questions like questions or yes or no, wait till they are in stage 4. It would make it easier for them to answer, and the language would also have developed a lot by then. You can start Suma's asking when should we look at using AC devices. So there's no time frame that about when you should look. I would say start at the beginning. If you feel that your child needs more support in communication, start at the very initial stage. So could be like as and when you're doing speech therapy model with your AAC devices, like that. Yeah, I will explain to you different stages again. Yeah, got it. So wait, I can write it here. Mm, Is my screen visible to you all? Yeah, so I will just show an example of different stages. Um, yeah, so the first stage would be the child. Oops, sorry. Yes, I'll just write it here. So the first stage would be the child picking up a chunk. So let's consider it the song. Incy Wincy Spider went up the water spout. Okay. The second would be the child learning that, oh, I can change the sentence up a little bit. So it could be like, Mommy, go up the water spout. Okay, so here you can see for the child, incidences spider went up the water spout possibly means going up somewhere, and the child has learned to slightly change the sentence into mommy go up the water spout. Okay, then the third stage is the referential stage where the child understands what each word means. So child knows what mommy is, child knows what up is, child knows what spout is. So child will start using third stage single words. A lot of single words would start coming. Mommy, up, spout, like that. And fourth stage is child able to use these in a grammatical sentence. So it could be mommy goes up. Fifth and sixth would be a complex grammar. Mommy, could you go up and get me some nice drink? So five and six is where complex grammar and sentence come. So this is how I would explain the stages to you based on an example. But the first one way you can understand if your child what stage your child is in by starting to collect a language sample. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just show you some
Get
activities where
apple.
children are using, where I'm working with children using the GLP way, that is natural language acquisition way, and how they are, developing the communication. The first video is uh, over here. It's of a child who's in
There you
stage 2.
go. Look at them. So funny.
Yes.
Let's
Oh.
do one,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 with the baby birds. Oh, it's 5.
five little skeleton.
That's a white skeleton.
Yeah, that's a white skeleton. jumping on the bed,
Broke his head.
broke his head,
Hi, ma'am. We can't see the video.
and then
Oh, is it?
Fell down.
Yeah, fell down and broke his head.
fell down and broke his head.
There's a pop-up that
And
says
then
enter full screen mode.
Okay. I'll change, ma'am.
Yeah. If you can close that window, it will be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you bounce into
Yeah.
the bed. You in the bed. Now you get to bed.
Yeah. So the first video of a child who's in stage 2, here you can see the yeah. Here he's
there you
mitigating the
go.
Five Little Monkey song.
Look at them, so funny.
Yes.
Let's
Oh.
do 1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 with the baby birds. Oh, it's 5.
5 little skeleton.
That's a white skeleton.
Yeah, that's a white skeleton. Jumping on the bed,
Broke his head.
broke his head, and then
Fell down.
Yeah, fell down and broke his head.
fell down and broke his head.
Yeah. So this is an activity where I was working on stage 2. You know the song Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. So this is an activity where it's instead of monkeys, it's skeleton. This child is very much interested in Halloween, so I chose skeleton. And this child is kind of able to comment and mitigate the whole song and say he's not getting stuck on the same Five Little Monkeys. He's able to change it up. So this is a stage 2 example. The next one is a stage 4 example where the child is using complex grammar to communicate.
Okay, so I hear something. What do I do now?
Put that inside.
Knock, knock. Oh, someone's here.
It's little caterpillar.
Yeah, this is a caterpillar. Let's invite him inside, okay?
Give him tap,
Yeah, give him the cap. Please take the cap.
tap, tap, tap,
Hmm?
tap, tap,
Oh,
tap,
I think the caterpillar got something.
What? Please. He got in the hat is a gift.
He got a green gift. What could be inside?
Yeah. So here you can see the child is able to use a little bit of more grammar like a gift and a and the in the sentences. He's using whose, where, all those small grammatical aspects that are in the language. The next is a sample of a child using AC in the session for the similar activity. If you're not able to understand the audio, you can just let me know. I will speak it out for you. But try to concentrate. The audio in the avas could be really low.
Open door. Ooh, what's that? What's that? Grasshopper. Yes, grasshopper. Let's tell the grasshopper to put the cap. Put the cap. With the cap. Correct. Ooh, look. Wow.
Yeah. So here the child is using AAC. Here for this child, the AAC has been customized according to his Gestalts. He is a stage 2 Gestalt language processor. That's why he's using chunks to express like put on the cap or open door. That way, instead of single words that are pre-programmed in ours. Also, a lot of AAC devices that we have are meant for analytical language processors. So when you're considering using AC for your GLP, you should learn to customize it according to their language stage and language level. Okay. Then let's just move on to some practical strategies that you can do for your child. First thing you can do is try to identify what a preferred activity could be. You can always look for activities that the child always goes back to. Use that as an opportunity to model phrases, model gestalts, model different utterances. Also, one thing you would have to consider is don't always model the same sentence. You can slightly modify them because language naturally has a lot of varieties. So when I tell parents to model phrases that starts with it's and let's, what ends up happening is they would continuously only model it's a tree, it's a bus, it's a apple. So it would be better if there is variety, like how naturally variety is there in the language, like that's a tree, I see a bus, the apple is red, so that way. And encourage the child to express themselves, but don't force the child to express. Uh, See if they are able to come up with utterances from the media or conversations. Acknowledge it, let them use that, and you can also model along with it. Okay, and try not to prompt verbal language. What would happen is that would reduce the spontaneity of language. They would always wait for you to initiate language, which we don't want. We always want the child to be very spontaneous with their language. Okay, some other takeaways that I would give you is always focus on the engagement. Make sure the child is able to, is actively participating in the activity. So, what I mean by engagement is you can do motor activities if you feel the child gets very slouchy or lazy in a tabletop activity, move around a lot. Use activities that the child likes. If the child likes to play with books, if the child likes to play with alphabets, use that. Work on communication. So we know that children communicate or process language differently. ALPs process language differently, GLPs process language differently. Understand how your child is processing language and tailor your way or to tailor your way to accommodate them according to it. Also, try to facilitate language development by using AAC. If you feel that they are not able to pick up language in a very fast or normal pace, um, try to do it naturally. Do not force them to touch the icons and things. Keep modeling. Don't wait for an opportunity to model. Just keep modeling naturally and try to give the right supports that they need when they are communicating. So they would supports could be, AC, different AC devices. If you feel they have trouble pointing into the devices, you can kind of have a small communication booths to um, so provide support according to the needs of your child. Okay. And to conclude, I want to just share some references that you can go through to learn or understand more about it. You can refer to the book Natural Language Acquisition on Autism Spectrum by Marge Plank. It's an excellent book and a resource where you could understand more about GLPs and AAC you can go to the website Communication Development Center. It's a website, I think, run by March Planck itself, where you can read in detail about different stages, how these stages come into play. You can also subscribe to resources from Northern Speech Services. They have NLA courses level 1, 2, 3, and meaningful speech courses. I guess in India, there is also course from Uncleft, which is also something you can use. And thank you everybody for joining. I hope you're able to understand what Gestalt language processing is, and I'm able to help you understand a little bit. And if you have any questions, please ask. I'm open to taking them.
Thank you, Hima, for the wonderful presentation. There is one question, latest, uh, from Chetla. To work on communication without AAC app and usage of mobile.
Um, are you considering not using AC app because of the screen time? Is that why you were saying without the app and usage of mobile, or because you feel it's difficult for the child to navigate it?
If she says yes,
Okay. Um, Okay. I would suggest that try modeling with the AC app and with the mobile, but have certain boundaries when you're giving it to them. Apart from that, you can also make uses of visual supports and communication both. But I would always suggest use an app or a device. So, and if you feel the screen time is too much, you can kind of disable certain apps that they are using obsessively or using too much. Yeah, using
And
Avas with guided access
yeah,
is also great.
yeah. Then the child won't be able to get out of ours. There is no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would not say no to screen time also, because a lot of children that we work with kind of use the screen time to regulate themselves or calm themselves down. So some amount of screen time is good, but make sure that it's in certain, you provide certain boundaries when it comes to screen time, and it's not just them aimlessly watching different things for hours and hours together.
if I may add to that. So I think here we are looking at taking the child's lead. So as Hima pointed out, most children are fascinated with and they get their tips and phrases and sentences from the things that they're watching, right? So we are making use of those interests, the same interests, and trying to work on it, right? But if you also saw examples of child playing with a doll and putting the doll to sleep and things like that, child playing in a playground. So a lot of sensory activities are also quite well suited. So we go with the child's interests and well,
Yeah. Um, Chaitra is asking, does the child naturally progress to stage 5 and 6? Six. It works in some kids, but it is better to have and know what to model in stage 5 and 6 so that it takes makes it easier and faster. And a lot of times I've seen that kids tend to be in stage for a very long time. It's a big stage. So you might have a child who's in stage for a year, but keep modeling stage 5 gestalts, stage things, complex grammar, so child picks that up. Naturally, I won't say it would have to be modeled.
yeah, agree with Tesla. Stages are not linear, happens back and
Yeah,
forth. Sometimes you might have a combination of one stage and the other stage.
yeah.
Harini also asked, some scripts are in Tamil, some are in English. Do they eventually figure out?
I feel when it comes to language or multi-language users, for especially for children, it's that they might not be able to understand the different language or complexities. For them, it's a chunk or it's a whole set that is used consistently. But yeah, when as and when they're progressing in their language, they would be able to understand that this is Tamil, this is English, and would be able to navigate that better. I'm not sure. I don't know any GLP SLPs in Cochin and Trivandrum.
We will share the details towards the end as to how to reach out to us.
Yeah,
There's one more question. I'm not sure whether this is. So when should we look at using AAC devices? And Suma Matthew,
I th that has been answered, ma'am.
that has been answered.
Yeah. Um, I would suggest use what comes naturally to you when you're working with your child and not stick to one language. India is a place where multiple language influences are there. So don't stick to one language. It's okay if there are multiple language. For a child, it's child doesn't differentiate what is different language like Malayalam, English, Tamil. It's just a set of sounds for them initially. Takes a while for them to figure out the complexities. Mhm.
Harini says he's able to answer questions like what's this color, but when he wants something, it's single word request. What stage is he in? I have shared a picture, visual of stages. If you would like to just quickly,
Yeah.
briefly explain.
Um,
Shall I share the image? Let me share the image
yeah.
on the
Could
screen.
you share it to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here you can see there are 6 different stages that, oops. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, these are the multiple stages that you see in GLPs. So it starts with them picking up a whole gestalt, whole chunk. It would be from a song. So here you can see the example of do you want to build a snowman? Or come on, it will be fun. Or it could be phrases like, share, subscribe, things like that. And they will learn to mitigate it. Mitigate means mix and match the words inside in the whole chunk. So it could be build a snowman, come on, let's go, like that. And they would further break it down, understand what each word means, and that would be stage 3. And they would start making original phrases. And stage 4 sentences, you would feel that their sentences are very long, but the grammar is bad. And it's okay if the grammar is bad because they're still learning the grammar. Stage 5 and 6, there is complex and advanced grammar, where you see them using a lot of past tense, present tense, past participles in their language, like that. And yeah, here Teslin also mentioned that this language development is not linear. They can go back and forth. Also, at the same time, you can also have kids be in multiple stages. So the child could be in stage 2, 4, and 5 at the same time. But how we say what stage the child is in by taking a language sample, determining a percentage, And if we see in a stage the child is more than 60 or 70%, we can say the child is operating in that stage. Mm, if you want to take language sample, I would suggest that watch out for the child using language or having utterances. Naturally, spontaneously note them down. You could go to a GLP certified therapist. They would be able to tell you what stage they are, and that can help you score. So collect language sample of utterances that are spontaneous. It should not be prompted. It should not come from a question. So these three clauses should be there, and add on those sentences. You would have to score them, and you would be able to determine a stage.
Yeah, so to determine a stage accurately, I think it's best to take professional guidance. But as parents, you can always, your role is very important in selecting language. And we depend a lot on the input that parents give, because throughout the day, the whatever the child is speaking and what situation, what they said, so making notes or recording in any format, either um, audio recording or making a written note or type notes, and then sharing it with your therapist will be very helpful in determining what stage they are in and what progress they're making. And it also helps us to determine what combinations and mitigations we can work on.
Yeah. Ma'am, could you share the details so
Yeah,
that they
there are
can contact
questions
us?
on, yes. Yeah, contact details. You can reach us on this number, WhatsApp number. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, there's few questions were there about GLP trained therapist in Trivandrum and Cochin. I would suggest you to go through registry. There are two registries. One is Meaningful Speech Registry. In that you can find the closest therapist who is GLP trained. Another is registry by Communication Development Center. So you can search in the registry and find the therapists who are GLP trained according to your location.
Could you please repeat once more?
Ha, meaningfulspeechregistry.com. You can search that. Meaningful Speech Registry.
Ma'am, what was the second one?
Communication Development Center. Uh, just open the website, you will be able to find therapists listed in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just
I take
share
it
a
one of the
page so that you understand. Yeah, this is the Meaningful Speech Registry, and you can search by language spoken, country, or state. You would be able to find some therapist. And the Communication Development Center. And I guess nowadays I also see parents searching on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also an excellent resource you can find. Yeah, it's there in the chat box as well.
I pasted the link. These might be useful.
Huh? Yeah, thank
I
you, ma'am.
pasted the links in the chat box.
Yeah. This is the other one. Yeah, NLSLP. Would you like to comment on that?
On Harini's question. Okay, by what age, in your experience, do you see children on AC become reasonably verbal? So we cannot actually predict what age exactly. It depends on what stage we identify them, and then how early we they get support, right? Intervention. Otherwise, we see that a lot of kids are stuck in a particular stage and they're not able to move forward. So we use a multimodal communication approach where we not only take this framework and work with it, but we also encourage AAC adaptation so that the child gets aided language input. And sometimes we've also seen that communication keeps happening even if the child is not able to speak and express everything. The child we have children who can type and communicate as well, express very well as well. So we go with the child's needs and what we discover along the way. It's difficult to say at what age, but I think most children, when they are at the single word stage, when they come through that, Gestalt and then mitigations, and then they come to the single word stage, they stay with that stage for a very long time, and then they need a lot more support in developing that, further on to go through the next stages. So, yeah, it really depends on the support one and what age and how quickly we identify and help the child.
I also want to share an example of language sample. Here you can see these are the words that is collected that this child is spontaneously speaking. This is the context that child has spoken them. These are the multiple stages. So you would have to collect this and score them over here and take up a percentage and see what stage they are operating in predominantly. So you can see the child earlier was using single words because that was what was modeled because child was having delayed speech. Slowly he started using big chunks of sentences. He started to mitigate, so he's operating stage 2 now. And now this child has reached stage 4. And around stage 4, you can see we are able to have a lot of back and forth communication with the child. Questions are not just ending with answers, they are also coming, taking turns really well. So, see, a lot of back and forth. So, this is stage 4, all this is stage 4, you see here.
A lot of detective
And
work is needed in the initial stages
yeah,
because
yeah.
the child has picked up the phrase from a particular experience and using it in which might seem inappropriate. A lot of us and a lot of parents who are not aware of GLP, they might think it's very irrelevant. What the child is saying is very irrelevant, and that's something that they share when they discuss about the child. So, yeah, I think we've answered most of the questions. And if you have anything more, and if you are seeking personalized support for your child, you can reach us. We've also shared other resources. So if there are no more questions, we can end. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your participation. And I would like to thank Hima for the very generously sharing her experience and resources. Thank you, and see you in another webinar soon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you everybody for joining and asking questions and engaging really well.